This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. My guest today is Frederico Teixeira. Frederico is a quant analyst at Pollen, which is a DeFi 2.0 asset management protocol. It allows communities to curate and optimize dynamically rebalanced custom asset pools. It sounds very DeFi 2.0. Sounds exciting. Welcome to the show, Frederico.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to speak to a quant analyst. So excited to have you on the show, Frederico. Just before we learn about your role and I guess the background to what you're doing at Pollen, would love to just hear some of your personal story, Frederico. Where are you from? Where are you now? And what has kind of been your career path to the wonderful world of DeFi?
I'm Brazilian. I'm a mathematician. And since 2013, I moved to Switzerland for my PhD. Here I studied mathematics and computational modeling. And ever since I've been here. Since 2007 or so, I have been working on several industries, always on the intersection of partial differential equations and how you solve them numerically. I already worked for life science, motorsport, now finance, in the past oil industry with the Brazilian Navy, many things.
What were you doing in motorsport, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh yes, I was working on the how you design optimal design for cars.
Of course, yeah. Are you an F1 fan? Do you watch the F1, Frederico?
I stopped watching many years ago.
Fair enough. All right. So when did you start to learn about blockchain, and what was it that made you decide to apply your mathematical talents, if you like, within the blockchain and then DeFi industry?
Everything started after my PhD. I started learning more about finance, and I noticed that most of the mathematical and computational methods that I was using at the time were heavily applied in finance. So I thought, okay, why not learn in one more industry where I can readily apply everything that I already know? Then I joined MIT. They have a MicroMaster course in finance. I finished last year. And by the middle of last year, I was given the opportunity to join Pollen in the role that I'm nowadays. And there I learned more about blockchain and said, hey, this is huge. The technology is amazing. It's here to stay. And it's worth investing time and efforts to learn it and help developing it.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, tell us a bit more about Pollen then. So you, it sounds like you're based in Switzerland. Where is Pollen based out of, if anywhere? I imagine it's probably mostly remote, but you never know, do you?
Yeah, Pollen is remote. It's a remote company. We have people in the US, UK, Germany, India, Switzerland, France, I think as well. But I think the company is based in the British Virgin Islands originally.
Yeah, very good. And just tell us just briefly, I guess, the origin story for Pollen, Frederico. How long has it been going? And just briefly, who set it up if they're doxed?
Yep, I think Pollen's about slightly over 1 year. I mean, I'm at Pollen for 1 year. I think the company has almost 2 years, and it started with the idea that people, when we aggregate knowledge from people, we can beat the market. The concept of hive mind. So it was said by Philip, Adam, Benjamin. I think more people as well are the founders and co-founders. And it started with this idea that people together can with the market.
Yeah, that's right. So it says on the Pollen website, it says, as I said at the beginning, Pollen is a DeFi 2.0 asset management protocol. It allows communities to curate fully optimized and dynamically rebalanced custom asset pools. And Pollen is a first of its kind decentralized next generation index where the community holds all the power. And so welcome, you say, then Frederico, you and the team at Pollen. Welcome to DeFi 2.0, a new way to interact with the financial markets of the future. So, I mean, talk us through what you guys mean when you talk about DeFi 2.0 and yeah, I suppose the role of the community with Pollen, Frederico.
Yep. So as you said, the idea of Pollen is to decentralize the asset management process. And of course, through decentralization, we achieve democratization. We achieve that through a gamification of the portfolio management process. So people acquire Pollen, the token, the same name. They go to the platform, they manage their own portfolio. So they have the freedom to do that. No credentials, no KYC, just go there, express your sentiment about the market, and build a reputation. That's how we say that someone is good or not. And then with this reputation, you climb the leaderboard, and then you can get delegation. And this fuels the asset management, the active asset management process in which people are managing their virtual portfolios. They are acting as managers. People who don't know how to do it can delegate their pollen to the top pollinators, as we call people who are on the top of the leaderboard. And then you have, through delegation, you have the mechanism of having your pollen being actively managed.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to understand it then, Frederico. So Pollen is an asset management tool. So I'm sure it can do all the usual DeFi things that people would be looking for, like yield farming, and there's a automatic market maker. But I see there's a community-powered DAO, right? That signals on virtual portfolios to directly influence the index and unleash the power of prediction markets, Frederico.
Yes. So everything that I said happens in a virtual world. People acquire pollen, they stake pollen into the portfolio of their choice. They enter and exit the market when they want. Everything is virtual. They are rewarded in pollen. But we believe that when people do it, if I stake my pollen into a portfolio, I believe that the market, that those tokens that compose my portfolio, they will appreciate in value in time. So this creates a signal. When we aggregate the signal for many people, and then this goes now to outside pollen, to the indexes. The indexes are the instruments that will actually acquire the tokens based on the signals provided by users. That's the link between the virtual and the real world.
Yeah, very nice. So the Pollen tokens decision-making protocol creates a sustainable merit-based reward system by rewarding those worker bees, which in this case are traders who can provide those signals on the virtual portfolios using just taking the signals from the market. And then as the digital assets in those portfolios see gains, there's yield generated, and that goes back into the community in the form of, I guess, new pollen tokens, right?
Yes, indeed. When someone builds a portfolio, if you stake Pollen, for example, let's say, well, just an example with numbers. Suppose I stake 100 Pollen into a portfolio that appreciated 10% in time. I get back roughly 10 Pollen if I was able to provide 10% above market benchmark.
Yeah, cool. So talk to me, how what's the kind of user growth, I suppose, Frederico? Like, do you have an idea of how many wallets are interacting with Pollen?
Yesterday there were 7,300, almost plus 7,300, but I can give you the precise number right now. 7,311 portfolio managers in the platform. This was built since the beginning of April, so 1 month.
Yeah, well, that's so. Has the platform really only been deployed and live for 1 month, Frederico?
We started testing since January, I think. We run a couple of beta iterations just to help the development team to understand the dynamics of how people would use it, find and fix bugs, check if there was some security issue, and for us as well in the modeling team to understand users' behaviors, if our incentive mechanisms were working well. And the latest iteration that started 2 months ago in the beginning of April is the longest one, and it's been pretty stable so far. It's still in the test net. We're about to launch to the mainnet very, very soon.
Okay. Oh, well, that is good to know. And, you know, there's a lot of discussion at the moment about DAOs and, you know, what is the best way for a DAO to work, the most efficient way for DAOs to govern themselves. And, yeah, lots of fascinating experiments happening across crypto. How do you think about a DAOs, Frederico, and what's the experience at Pollen been so far?
We set up a DAO for our system, and Pollen's a DAO actually. And one decision we took about it was people who govern Pollen are those who staked Pollen into what we call DE Pollen, voted scrolled Pollen. It's another token that provides you, in addition to voting power, it provides you as well boosting rewards as an incentive for you to be more engaged with the platform.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, and I love the way you guys, I'm just looking at the website and you talk about how you're building the DAO of the future through collective intelligence, collective decision-making, and meritocratic-based ecosystems that reward you based on the benefit you bring to the community. So yeah, sounds very nice and positive. And then you talk about collective intelligence, token Darwinism, like in the animal kingdom, only the strong survive. So tokens in the Pollen DAO that aren't performing will naturally be left behind, while stronger performers that the collective is more bullish on will arise to the top. So I guess you're just talking about the adversarial environment that is trading in the markets, right?
Yes, this is how we interact with what people do in the platform when they express their market sentiment. They stake their Pollen, build their portfolio, build their reputation, which is solely based on merits, on what achievements they made in the past. So in this, that's why I mentioned in the beginning that Pollen is democratic. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD or not, if you don't even have high school. You can go there and you are given the opportunity to manage a portfolio and behind it, there is a system capturing your skill. If you are skilled enough, irrespectively of your education background, you can climb the leaderboard and become a pollinator, a delegatee. you can start receiving pollen from people and managing their pollen, and of course profiting from it.
Yeah, and so how many of those people that have risen to the top of that leaderboard, what would be the kind of the rough breakdown of the people that are being their strategies are being copied at the moment?
I don't know what people are doing, what kind of strategies people are following. I see many people doing rebalancing very often. Sometimes people rebalance once a day. They are mostly investing in a couple of GameFi tokens.
And as we start to finish off this part of the podcast, Frederico, how do you see DeFi evolving in general? Presumably you'd be very bullish on the sector, and being a mathematician, you'll be aware of how the sausage is made, if you like. How do you see DeFi evolving? And then maybe we'll also talk about the risks that you see. But yeah, first, what do you see going forward?
I think it will disrupt the industry as it is now. I think it will take a couple of years yet. There is a lot of things still to be developed in terms of usability, because it's not very easy if you have USD nowadays, and how you acquire AVAX, let's say, or how we go to more or to other blockchains. But it is certainly something that's going to last long time. The impact of what we are seeing now, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, what about how do you think about the risks in not crypto, but well, specifically in DeFi? Frederico obviously had the big Luna Terra USD blow up 3 weeks to a month ago, which really did impact the industry quite significantly, and those impacts will of course continue for some time. How do you think about the risks that DeFi must navigate?
I believe most of the risk is in the security, because in DeFi the essence of it is that blockchains, you have an address, you don't know who's behind, there is no KYC, and there is nobody to blame if something happens. So sometimes some protocols are hacked, and then a couple of millions are lost. Someone lost millions. So I think those are the risks that I believe. The risks that are technological, but I think that nowadays, as we are in the beginning of this technology, I think this is also a problem that will be solved in the future. We certainly hope so, Frederico. Well, let's go to a very quick break, and then we will come back and we will finish off, and we will put you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. We'll be back, listeners, in 1 second.
For crypto indices and benchmarking, Brave New Coin's powerful indexing engine can calculate high-frequency intraday and end-of-day indices for a wide range of index products. Brave New Coin's custom indices team delivers experienced consultancy, premium data, and trusted calculation. Contact BNC today to find out more.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Frederico Teixeira. Frederico is a Brazilian mathematician, and he is a quant analyst at Pollen, the DeFi 2.0 asset management protocol. And, well, Frederico, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it? Just going to ask you some questions, and you just give me your best answers, hot take style, Frederico. Well, question 1 is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Multi-chain opportunities.
Sure. Okay. And well, let me ask again. Let's put it another way. You know, you're a you're a quant analyst, you're a mathematician, you have a PhD in computational modelling. So you know numbers is what I'm getting at, I guess. Maybe this is a strange question, but it just bear with me simply because I'm not a mathematician myself. But why do you see a difference between, say, a proof of work blockchain such as Bitcoin, and then these next generation proof of stake blockchains from a purely mathematical viewpoint? How do you think about these different approaches to blockchain consensus mechanisms?
I never went through them from the mathematical side to see how they work in theory, but I'm in favor of the proof of stake just because it solves the problem of energy consumption. So I just have a rough idea about how they work in theory.
Yep, no, that makes sense, and that's a very valid answer. And I think that is the reason that a lot of people are gravitating away from, if you like, proof of work and towards proof of stake, simply because, Bitcoin's energy consumption, it's a tough narrative to overcome for many people, so I do understand that. All right, well, thank you for that. Frederico, what would you say, though, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Firmest conviction crypto opinion. Yeah, that's it. I just think that in the future, we are going to be using more crypto than fiat. I think that the disruption that it causes to banks, for example, I think banks will adapt to it. And in the future, I think I see myself paying bills, my rent, using ETH or BTC. It's nowadays already possible to get some pizzas and some food with stables, but I think that the whole market should stabilize in the future with and be more user-friendly to everybody.
Makes sense to me, Frederico. All right, well, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. So with that in mind, Frederico, anything you like, DeFi or blockchain or Pollen, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
I think we are going to move forward in the direction of usability, because that's the way when we need people, right, to use platforms, to use the protocols, to bring their money, to make everything works. So, and people are nowadays blocked by usability. So I think this will be, in my opinion, usability, security, because people are, every time there is something in the news saying that a couple of millions were hacked, I'm quite sure a lot of people are afraid of entering. So investments in usability and security to make sure that no cash is lost are very important. And I think these are the first things will happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I like to look forward in this time frame as well. I think I like to compare blockchain with the internet in the 90s. That the 90s were time of development for internet. A lot of people were skeptical. A lot of high-profile people were saying that, "Oh, come on, that's not going to work." And then we knew what happened in the last 20 years with the impact of the internet. I believe I see the same pattern with blockchain. We're in the beginning. A lot of problems are going to happen. Terra Luna was an example. Hopefully the last one, but but things will be way different in 10 to 20 years.
Could not agree more, Frederico. Of course, the flip side of that is if we rewind from 10 years ahead to today, it reminds me of a quote by sci-fi author William Gibson, who of course said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Frederico, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
I think there are many blockchain projects that are solving problems that sci-fi has, for example, in terms of underserved people who could benefit from blockchain projects, and they, because of usability or a little bit of security issues as well, they still don't have access to it. So let's say, I think a lot of people in the US are underbanked. They don't have bank account. So they can't transfer money. They can't do a lot of things that we can do with the bank account. It's a bank account. For us, it's something trivial. But if you have a wallet, it helps you solve this problem. So giving more usability to DeFi helps people doing that. Or if you want to take Pollen as an example, if I go to a big bank nowadays, I don't have an active manager working for me. My bank account doesn't have 7-8 figures. So they are going to give me a couple of ETFs, a couple of instruments, but we are building a platform in which people can manage this in a decentralized way, in which we know their performance, so we know how good they are. So we are providing a service, but people still don't have access to it. Most people still don't have access to it.
Yeah, that is 100% correct, Frederico. DeFi actually it's here right now, and it is the future, so that's a great way of thinking about it. Well, as we start to finish off, I hope you don't mind if we zoom out and get weird for a second, Frederico, but what do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think with those climate issues that we are facing nowadays, and I think next generations will have a really tough time because of things we are not doing nowadays. Yeah, but I think they will find their way. I don't know, move to the moon, to Mars, start from scratch somewhere else, or just stay here.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. That certainly has a certain appeal, starting from scratch somewhere else. I don't know if there's just, I mean, I get the appeal, but the problem is there are no kind of easily inhabitable planets in our rocket zone at the moment. Need a Goldilocks planet. Anyway, it brings us to the end of the show, Frederico. The final question, of course, is finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show, Frederico?
I'm not a big fan of literature, TV shows. Since I'm very young, I always like to read technical books and about physics, mathematics, engineering. So I'm not a big fan of TV.
Wow, it's amazing. I mean, Yeah, I mean, it just, and the way you say that, Frederico, it just strikes me that, all of us humans, we're all different, I suppose. I mean, I wish I could relax by reading technical engineering and mathematical and physics books, but yeah, my brain does not work like that. So if you don't watch TV, sounds like you don't watch much TV or read fiction. What about music? What kind of music does a mathematician, a PhD, listen to?
I really like the Brazilian music, popular one, the famous one from the 70s and 60s. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, that's a good way to end the show then, I think, Frederico. So thank you for coming on the show to tell us about Pollen. To finish the show, could you please tell people where they should go to find out more about the Pollen platform and why they should use it to undertake their DeFi activities?
Sure. Our website is beta.pollen.id. You can just visit there, couple your wallet, start using that. It's still beta version and testnet. You just need faucet pollen and faucet AVAX as well. You can get them on our channels. We have the Telegram channel, Pollen_DAO. We have the Twitter account, Pollen DeFi. And stay tuned because there are some very nice things coming here, coming in the future. We strongly believe in the Pollen's proposition. I think it will be very interesting project for a lot of people.
Awesome. Well, we will watch with interest. I hope it all goes well when you go live on mainnet. And yeah, thank you very much. All the best, and bye for now.
I thank you. Have a good day.